Who are the Freedom Riders? The Freedom Riders were a brave group of men and women, black and white, young and old. They boarded buses, trains, and planes, headed for the Deep South to test the 1960 Supreme Court ruling outlawing segregation in all interstate public facilities. The first Freedom Ride took place on May 4, 1961, when 7 blacks and 6 whites left Washington, D.C. on 2 public buses bound for the South. The first Freedom Riders were members of the Nashville Student Group, a local group of students who had successfully desegregated the lunch counters and movie theaters in that city. Emboldened by their victory, the Freedom Riders decided to introduce their strategies of nonviolence throughout the South. The next morning, the Freedom Riders boarded the buses and took their places. Blacks and whites seated together on the bus, an act already considered a crime in most segregated states. At stops along the way, the Freedom Riders entered whites and colored areas contrary to where they were supposed to go, and ate together at the segregated lunch counters. They met little resistance along the way until they arrived in Rock Hill, South Carolina, where an angry mob beat the Freedom Riders as they pulled into the station. This was the first of many such beatings the Freedom Riders were to receive at the hands of angry mobs. The riders encountered only minor hostility, but in the second week the riders were severely beaten. Outside Anniston, Alabama, one of their buses were burned, and in Birmingham, several dozen whites attacked the riders only 2 blocks from the sheriff's office. The riders continued to Mississippi, where they endured further brutality and jail terms, but generated more publicity and inspired dozens of more rides. Nearly 75% of the Freedom Riders were between 18 and 30 years old. About half were black, a quarter were women. Their mugshot expressions hint at their resolve, defiance, pride, vulnerability, and fear. By the end of the summer, the protests had spread to train stations and airports across the South, and in November, the Interstate Commerce Commission issued rules prohibiting segregated transportation facilities. The Freedom Riders gave African Americans hope for the future. Would you have been able to get on that bus?